I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here live from the floor of the NYSE with Jim Cramer. Jim, what's on the top of your mind this morning?
Well, I think that on the top of my mind is Tesla. Why? Because it's emblematic of what I see happening right now, which is that there's just so few sellers. So you have these stocks that gap up, and I say gap up because what happens is the buyers. We used to call this in the trading desk. They're trying to find the level where sellers emerge. And they can't seem to find them. You see the same thing, by the way, with the drug stocks, with an Eli Lilly, with a Merck. You know, maybe it's ETF buying, but you can't. No level seems to bring out sellers. I think people want to show that they own stock because the year's been so good, and that's keeping the sellers from typically what you would expect them to appear. And so it's a phenomenon of trading. Tesla being the most obvious one because Tesla's short covering every single morning. You can see that. That's what typically you see when you see that aggressive buying before the market opens. And this market will be known as a market where the sellers disappeared and the buyers never stopped.
Nike reported earnings last night, and it is our real money stock of the day after investors were less than pleased with the earnings.
The stock ran up a lot, but this stock this is a good opportunity to buy. Wait till the end of the day, and the sellers are going to try to make themselves look right. The brokers will be trying to get an average price that at the end of the day they mark it down. So maybe they get it to sell at 99, they knock it down to 98, and they'll be able to say to the client, "Hey, listen, I got you better than the average." But the Nike quarter is beautiful. The thing that people are highlighting is the slowdown in North America. That is just completely ridiculous. There is no slowdown. Talk about the 40 basis points problem with the tariffs. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's pretty much mitigated. So it's still a buy. When it's down $1.70, what that says is people are taking profits. There's nothing wrong with Nike. When you see those price target bumps over and over and over again, you have a winner.
So you say buy today, and let's also remind investors that we've got the Summer Olympics coming up, which is huge for Nike. Yes. And now that the trade pressure is off, should investors just do it for next week and buy it?
Yeah, actually I think so. I think it's a good idea. It's funny, in the debate last night, one of the hosts said, "Will the United States boycott the 2022 Olympics, the Winter Olympics in Beijing?" It does seem like the Democrats would. That's something that President Trump would never do. So you have to wonder if President Xi isn't thinking, "Wow, I better get a deal done because these Democrats, they want to go after me for civil rights, for religious freedom, and that's not what Trump does. Trump just wants money." I think it's really important to follow this because President Xi may be boxed. Now, everyone thinks he's all powerful, but he may be boxed by democracy because I didn't hear a Democrat who I felt wasn't tougher than Trump when it comes to China. One issue that China finds unforgivable. You criticize them on human rights, that's so much different from criticizing them on buying. Because to them, remember, they're very much like Stalin in terms of the belief in no religious freedom. And Stalin legendarily said, to Churchill, "How many divisions does the Pope has?" I know some people say he never did that, but the Democrats were very willing to challenge the Xi administration on religious freedom and on freedom of speech. And she won't tolerate that. That's how you really get into a war.
Jim, yesterday I asked you what your biggest investing mistake of 2019 was, but today I want to take it from a more positive angle since this is our last show of 2019. So, Jim, what was your biggest win of 2019?
I think our biggest win was getting back in NVIDIA, being dexterous. Sold it in the high 200s, bought it back in the mid 100s. Now it's going back to the high 200s. That's about as good as you're ever going to get. That's the best I've ever been other than my hedge fund. And people should respect the fact that NVIDIA is still going higher. There's a reacceleration of the data center. The simulation chips are doing unbelievable. The chips that are needed for autonomous driving, amazing. But it's the inference chips that he's come up with, which is remember what he told me is that soon we'll be able to use chips to be able to create our own party, where we can create simulations that talk about things that we care about. I happen to like Beethoven. I happen to like Beethoven's Sixth, the Pastoral. Someone could argue that the Eroica is a better symphony. And you'd have that discussion with the simulation, and it'd be better than real people. Real people don't necessarily want to talk about what you want. You can create people who do want to talk about and will be very sophisticated in their arguments. And I think it could be a delight. I like Shakespeare. I mean, we can just sit there and we can talk about The Merchant of Venice and learn from my simulation.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker was released last night and it had less than stellar reviews. And so far this year, Disney has $6 billion box office movies. So my question to you, Jim, is will Star Wars prevent Disney from getting that $7 billion ring?
No, these are, I think that these are infused by artificial intelligence, which has it that people will go no matter what. And I think that people have to understand that there's no guesswork to that. They create it knowing that certain things will be watched. They'll have everything right. So I wouldn't worry about it at all. I'd buy it.
You'd buy Disney right now?
Yeah, I fell on that.
Jim, our teams face off this weekend. You've got the Eagles, I've got the Cowboys. How do you feel about this game?
Jimmy from Anywhere, who's legendary and is a JFA on our Bull Market Fantasy, has told me in no uncertain terms that Dallas wins the game and that the line is wrong even. And he said you have to take Dallas. And going against Jimmy from Anywhere is just not, I'm not willing to do that. He's too good. He is our linesman, so to speak, in Bull Market Fantasy. So the answer is that Dallas is going to win because there's no way JFA is going to be wrong about that.
Well, as much as I love to hear that, I am sorry for you because I saw you tweeting at Dak this morning.
Yeah, well, Dak, Schefter did say that Dak said that he'll play. I question whether it's up to Dak. It's obviously the biggest game of the year for him, so it's hard to imagine that he won't play. But that's not the issue. The issue is will he play badly because his shoulder is sprained. That's what that's what you should care about if you're a Dallas fan. Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about. So, Jim, this
should be.
This is on a happier note, this is our final show of 2019, and it's been such a pleasure to work with you, and we've had so much fun.
We have had a great time, and it's extended to Bull Market Fantasy, which I hope continues, and you're a delight to work with, and I'm very pleased with what we do, and thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us this year. It's been fantastic. We'll be back on January 2nd, so tune in then in 2020. And we'll now head over to our Action Alerts Plus Daily Rundown show over on actionalertsplus.com. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you in 2020.